And welcome once again to the How Long to Beat podcast. I'm your host, Rick, joined as always by Paula.
Hello.
And Alex.
It's me.
Who was getting very panicked because I was getting into the groove and not starting the recording. He was like, we're good to go.
Are we going?
Giving me the scared panic eyes of like, you can start now. Please start now. Oh, God. We are, as always, going to talk completions, retirements, playing. Maybe a bit more Age of Empires 4 talk in there. I don't know where you're at with that. I've been on holiday for a week. I'm totally unplugged from everything. Which brings us beautifully onto this week's topic, holiday gaming. Mm-hmm. And then, don't worry, we're not going to be taking a break from How Long to Beat The Game. I'm slowly building that trust back up.
Slowly. You're building it up just so you can tear it back down. I know you.
Nah. I tell you what, I do want to tear down a little bit, though, and I am going to just key myself in for the completions. Undertale is fine.
Yeah. It's a had-to-be-there game.
Yeah, I think so. Now, I'm probably going to play it again because it's very, very short. Like, I clocked a neutral playthrough in 4.5 hours.
Wow, is it that short?
It's not.
Yeah, okay.
It can be that short. Like, there's definitely extra things you can partake in. Without giving too much away, there's like a miniature hub towards the back end of the game that I think had side quests in if you were willing to seek them out. I basically went straight through that area and didn't stop. I think this game was just a hype machine. Like, there's definitely the possibility that some of the different runs, which I think I will probably go back to and try out, change things and do something fundamentally incredible. But the whole, like, good, bad karma thing, it's been done before. It's not that impressive. I suppose that the impressive thing is that this was a one-guy effort. Yeah. But again, that's been done before. As much as a feat as it is, it's not necessarily surprising in the way that maybe it had been. Now, you look at something like Bright Memory, where that's one person that looks like it could be a AAA jobby. That is impressive as a one-man job. A top-down RPG maker type RPG thing with an innovative but relatively bare-bones turn-based thing, not so much. And it's not that the game isn't good. The game is good, and it has lots of really good writing and lots of fun little ideas that it peppers in throughout it. It just isn't the video game, which I think is what it kind of was sold as. I don't really know.
Well,
let's go on that. Obviously, you've played Alex by the sounds of it. Have you played this one, Paula? Or
I didn't play it, but I did watch when it came out. Complete playthrough of all routes. The game?
Close enough then. Yeah, that's fine. So we all kind of know what's talking there. Sorry, I cut you off, Alex. I think you had something to throw into the ring there.
Well, I was just going to say, like, this game to me, it reminds me of Earthbound in more than one way, in the sense that Earthbound is a game, because obviously this is heavily inspired by that. Same with Live Alive too, actually. But Earthbound is this game, right, that arguably is good and fine, but has a really, really strong fan base because I think it tapped at something that wasn't really being done, right? It takes a new take on things. And especially when this came out 2015, I mean, just think like we're at the tail end right there of, or I guess that's kind of like, because was the PS4 in
2012?
2012, okay, yeah.
Back end of 2012, yeah.
So we're in this, like, the beginning of this new kind of era, right, of gaming. And games are coming out at the time. There's good games, but I feel like we were still just seeing the indie world kind of coming into its own again, because we had the Xbox Live Arcade era, which was great. But that was also kind of like a few indie games, right? Like, it wasn't like that full-on explosion yet. And so the 2D gaming that I would think of, especially on like a console, I just feel like there wasn't as much of it. And this game kind of came in, and I don't know, personally, I felt like JRPGs at that time were kind of lagging a little bit. Now, of course, people would like to, obviously there were good games still coming out, but I think in like the popular consciousness, a lot of RPGs, especially the big series, were moving towards large, huge production, kind of AAA 3D games, right?
It's FF15 era for sure.
Exactly.
And I do want to correct myself. PlayStation 4 is 2013.
It is 13.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I had that in my brain somewhere. I was like 2013, I think.
I think we've done this a couple of episodes ago, and we're just repeating it. But
yeah. But so I think of that time period, and it does something quite impressive. It's really fun, and then I also think that a young generation hooked onto it really intensely. And as someone who was young once, little experience I've had that not many have. Let's just be real. You get really into shit when you're young, right? Like, and you grab something that's new, and they don't know Earthbound. They don't know the series before this. They grab this thing. It's new, impressive. The internet age is huge at this point, right? This is one of those first games, like with Friday. Like, I mean, when you look it up, I just looked up Undertale release date, and it says people also search for Five Nights at Freddy's, right? Like, it's like that time period, right? Where suddenly you've got streaming, Twitch, all this stuff. It becomes a huge internet thing. And I think at that point, it now is no longer possible to just enjoy as a game. It's a cultural icon in a lot of ways, right? At least in the game.
Yeah. I think I'd go one further. I'd say it was a meme game. I think the whole Sans Megalovania thing probably propelled it. And I think, everything you say about Twitch and being that moment in time probably rings true. Yeah. The irony being the run I did, I actually didn't fight Sans. That isn't a thing that happens on the neutral run. Or at least it didn't in mine. I don't necessarily think that it's held back by that, though, because I, by some miracle, managed to avoid any actual spoilers for the game, other than knowing that pacifist runs are possible and being aware of Sans and Megalovania as things that exist without any sort of game context. I just think the overall product is like, a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think it, shorn from the hype, that's where it sits. And I don't think it's necessarily true that you can only experience it as within that context, but I think it probably is elevated by being so experienced.
Yeah, I think part of it too, like when I say like can't be separated, I think it's that, like, even what you're mentioning, even when talking about it, we have to reference the hype around it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, there's games I'll talk about today where I don't have to talk about the fucking hype. No one's talking about this shit. You know what I mean? Whereas Undertale, it's like, no matter what, you're kind of backed into this like corner of knowing that this is a lot of people's just like favorite, right? And like, it's been, and I think about that for Omori actually, which is the game of the month right now, where I think something kind of similar is happening with that game, where even I was like, I really want to play this game. And I didn't even know why. I kept hearing people talk about it all the time. And then I try it and I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine, I guess. You're like,
well, Mori's interesting because it was considered in relation to Undertale.
Yes, which Undertale I think is considered in relation to Earthbound, right? Like, I feel like these games are in like a conversation with each other. So I don't know. This is just getting like a little meta textual with it all, but I just think this is one of those games that like kind of has to be that way, right? But yeah, Omori is another one. Yeah, it's in that conversation with Undertale at this point. And then you think of Everhood, like so many games now too. I think this is part of the issue. There's so many games that are so inspired by Undertale at this point, which some of them don't even realize they're like inspired by the older game. Like it's just like a big feedback loop.
And the upshot of all this is there's a whole world of video essays that I can now experience that until I played Undertale I've been avoiding. So there's one in particular about like, from the title at least, I think it was about RPGs as someone who's not played an RPG. And the whole how Undertale is so referential that, or at least this is the impression I get having not watched the video. The idea is that Undertale is referential enough that you can't get it without having played some other, almost like you're saying, conversation with other genre games. So that would be interesting. It's not that I wouldn't recommend it. I actually think the combat is really clever. I think it's scratched to a certain extent that Shin Megami Tensei sort of demon conversation itch in some of the non-violent options. A personal favorite was the two dog guards, their fight. That was a lot of fun. And there are a lot of fun moments. I just think the overall game's a bit drab. There's only so much you can do. And I think the developer, has done a lot to eke a little bit of extra life out of that format. But I think he's still very much limited by that format, and the game is limited by that format, which is a little bit of a shame. It's short, it's on Vita. I wouldn't not recommend it. I think maybe just temper your expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, I gather now that Pacifist is the way you're supposed to play it first, or at least that's a recommended way to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, and so this is what's interesting. I think it is not the way people would play it first. It's not how I played it first, because
No,
I played the game.
I got a neutral first way through, and that's only because I knew. I think that's probably how you would fall first of all, because you'd probably muck about with both mechanics. I don't know why it's recommended, just because I've not played the other two.
See, I feel like okay. What I think might be what people are saying is that it's recommended if you're just going to play it once, do the pacifist run. But I don't think, because when I played it, that I don't think was the intention. The expectation was you would play it and you would attack the enemies, and maybe you'd spare some because you're like, they're cute and you'd like play with that sort of thing. And that's certainly what happened with me. I didn't even know that you could spare the first boss fight, so I actually spared most, but I just fucking sliced Toriel down, you know, because I didn't know I could do that. Again, because it's in that metatextual thing, I was just playing it as games were meant to be played, right? So again, that's something that, because I think that knowing you can play a pacifist run is actually a huge spoiler on the game. But
unfortunately, yes, but it's unavoidable because there is definitely that bit towards the end, and I think if you're this far, we've already kind of spoiled it, where it's like, LV's not level, like that's your level of violence, and XP is execution points rather than experience, which is really clever, but not that surprising when you know the different modes of play that are available to you.
Exactly.
And I think that probably comes back into then what you're saying about you could not play it without that context. Again, like if you miss the moment, you miss the moment. You know, maybe there's people who are teenagers and play that when it's new, and that's like a pivotal moment in their development and their life and their experience of media, to have that flip, almost like a Fight Club type moment sort of thing.
Yeah.
God, I'm aging myself a little bit there, I think. Anyway, good game. Not an incredible game. You probably don't need me to tell you that. Have you got anything you want to add, Paula? I feel like me and Alex have gone at that. After I was like, have you played it? You're like, no, I've watched it. And you're like, cool, let's go for 5 minutes. Have you got anything you want to add in?
Nothing else to add besides like
cool, moving on. No.
When the game came out, I don't remember how old I was, but I was like my late teens, so I wasn't like fully back to gaming yet, so I did try the game out. No, I was a uni already, was it? Whatever, not
7 years,
relevant.
Yeah.
7 years ago, yeah, I was at uni then. The thing is that I was like so bad at dodging, and I didn't have a controller at the time, so I was using the keyboard. And after like probably like a difficult boss fight, and I was like, okay, fuck it. I actually did make it like completely pacifist until I don't remember where I was, where in the game I was. But I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to watch a playthrough. And that's how I ended up experiencing the game.
That's fair. That's one thing I do want to say, actually, is the game is embarrassingly easy, or at least I found it to be embarrassingly easy. I didn't really have any problems with anything of the anything.
I probably replay it now that, well, I played games that actually require me to dodge stuff, especially. I will probably have a better time with it, but at the time I was like very new to anything action related, so I was like, no, yep, fuck it, not dealing with this right now. I still have it on my Steam library.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I do too. Yeah, I think I played it on Steam actually on a shit laptop way back in 2015.
I mean, yeah, you could play that game on a toaster, I'm sure. It's not in any way demanding.
No, it's on everything. Nice.
Do you want to jump in, Alex? Because you've got like 3 or 4 completions to go through. Considering I've been the one that's had no obligations the past 2 weeks, you have absolutely trumped me for completions.
Well, I've been chilling. I've been like, these days I set my schedule at home, so it's been pretty great, honestly. When I work from home, man, I get so much fucking work done, and then I get to play games. It's great. I'm loving it. So I beat Age of Empires 4. I mean, I don't know how you classify beating. I decided this was my full. I haven't beaten it. Beat one of the campaigns, and then I got French mastery. So there's like mastery for each of the civs. And
what I'm hearing is I beat it because I said so.
Because I said so. Well, I did. I could go back and beat some of the other more of the campaigns as well. I probably will at some point. I put like 30 something hours into it, so I'm like, I beat it. It's great, but
still need that 1-on-1.
Yeah, oh god, I'll lose. I guarantee you I'm gonna lose. Especially now that you're doing the silver freaking ranking and shit. There's no way. There was a period of time, maybe like a week ago or so, when I just got into mastery that I think I could have came close maybe with you, but I'm pretty sure you'll steamroll me now. We could still do it, but I'll get steamrolled. Because yeah, it's interesting though. Like I find with this, it is sort of sport-like in a way where I got to a point where like I knew my build order, I had my hotkeys, I had like my APMs were going up, which like actions per minute were going up. I was like doing really great, and then it is so exhausting. It is so fucking exhausting, and I mean like not like in a bad way, just like actually tiring. Where like my brain after a session, I was like, fucking shit, I gotta step back for a second. I'm like tired from just like constantly trying to process what's going on in the game. And I figure for real pros, it just becomes muscle memory. But I always had a respect for RTS players, but like, man, after trying to do it a bit, my respect on like, it's one thing in like a turn-based RPG, you can think and strategize, right? And like, that's like the slow thinking, you're like, okay, what am I going to do? Even in like, XCOM games and stuff like that, you get to take your time, right? You get to tactic it out.
Yeah.
And I love that. And in RTS, it's like, motherfucker, if you don't know what you got to do right now, it is game over. Like, you don't get to pause, motherfucker. You're just like, go, go, go. And fuck, that is intense. Like that quick thinking. And I realize like the way that people lose is just, you just make a mistake. And that one mistake screws you. And it's fine. Like that system is okay because matches are so short. And I think one thing that I'm kind of proud of is that now I kind of know when to surrender, because I'm like, I make a mistake and go, it's over. Like I remember with Paula and I were playing against, like we tried to do the hardest AI and screwed up, and I knew when I screwed up, and I was like, Paula, we gotta surrender. It's not happening. I'm like, we're not gonna win here anymore. Yeah, like they built a fucking town center like right like near ours, and I was like, it's over. It's all over. I can't win. And it's just like, but even before that, I knew when we were screwed. So it's like, anyway, it's really fun. I really, really recommend it. We'll talk about it more because this is pretty much all Paula's been playing. But 2 new Civs got announced, so that's pretty exciting. Yeah, I was like, whoops. Yeah, so free update too, which is pretty exciting. I gotta say, that is really cool because it won't divide the community, right? Like if it's free, well, everybody gets it. So. One of those benefits of being a Game Pass game as well, I suppose, because it's free for everyone, not even just those on Game Pass. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, to continue my RTS stream. So once I was playing this, I was like, I want to play some goddamn RTSs now. I got that bug again. And I fondly remember playing Battle for Middle-earth 1 and 2. So Lord of the Rings there. And I was like, you know what? I wonder what the communities are like for this. You can't buy it anywhere. It's unpurchasable because EA lost the Lord of the Rings license a long time ago, right? Like they had licensed Lord of the Rings and then they lost it. So, or they just gave it, whatever, you know how that goes. Licenses, they just...
Classic, yeah.
They traded it for Star Wars, I think. So they probably made the better deal. I love Lord of the Rings, but Star Wars makes the money. And anyway, also kind of glad it's not in their hands anymore. But, though they've been doing good things. Anyway, this is a tangent.
It's Embracer Group now, isn't it? Just to take a massive tangent. They just signed some of the rights.
It is Embracer Group. And you know what? Probably going to be some good Lord of the Rings games coming down the pipeline in the next little while. There have been good ones anyway, like fucking, Shadow of War and whatnot. Those were great games, though. I think those are they were great. And I'm like, we're good. We don't need more of those, actually. Like, they're great, but the second one felt redundant.
Listeners of the future, let us know how well Alex's comments aged. And also, if you want to drop a like, better late than never.
There's a good... I don't know. I have faith that they'll make some good Lord of the Rings games. Listen, any Lord of the Rings games has to be better than none at this point. As long as it's not all just mobile games. Kill me. Anyway, so Battle for Middle-earth 2. Awesome game. RTS, but it's a kind of more... Rise of Nations a little bit, and it's kind of those squad based ones where it's like you're not creating individual units, you're creating battalions of units. And so to download it, there's actually this awesome 40-minute tutorial on how to properly download Battle for Middle-earth 2 and its expansion, Rise of the Witch King. And I have to say, I'm pretty good at this point at modding, setting things up, doing all that kind of thing. Probably didn't need that full tutorial, but this one I can confidently say, if you have even basically no experience, you'll be able to set it up and get it running pretty easily. It's very well done. And also, there's an incredible HD mod for Battle for Middle-earth 2 that straight up, I was playing the game and I was like, this looks really amazing. If you told me this was a game from even just maybe even from 2015 or something, I would have bought it. You know what I mean? It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but you're this looks really good. Looks like just last gen. But then you're like, oh no, that's a game from 2006. And it's fuck. It's so good. Widescreen support. They completely redid the models and everything. It's just gorgeous. And Rise of the Witch King, the expansion, there's also this mod called Age of the Ring, which is still being worked on. And it is basically these modders have made the full Lord of the Rings as a campaign. They finished Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers. They're working on Return of the King right now. But it's a really, really good campaign where you play through all the events of those books and movies, basically, which is amazing. So that's it's a whole new game that you can play, and they added new factions and stuff too within it. It's the community for these games is amazing, and there's also this Battle for Middle-earth Reforged that's happening right now, which is someone this team is completely remaking Battle for Middle-earth in Unreal Engine. It's disgustingly beautiful. It looks like a AAA game. Will it ever be finished? Who knows? With these fan-made things, you never know. They've been working on it for 4 years. Wouldn't be surprised if it takes another 4. I think they've got 2 factions done or something like that. It's going to take a long time, but it looks really cool. So check that out. Anyway, played through the campaign, the good campaign in this one. This one is kind of interesting. The campaigns are pretty short, actually. There's a good and bad campaign, and they follow the war in the north idea. So the first one, you're playing kind of through the very loosely through the events of Lord of the Rings, and then this one, it's what was happening in the north, which is kind of a neat idea. The campaign missions are quite fun. I found I enjoyed them quite a bit. And yeah, not a lot to say. This is a childhood game of mine. I really like it. And it looks really good now. And so I recommend people play it because it's really fun, especially if you like Lord of the Rings. And even if you don't like Lord of the Rings, it's a really good RTS. All right, yeah, that's it. Battle for Earth 2. Have either of you played these games?
No.
Nope. I haven't even some people are going to cry listening to this. I haven't even watched the Lord of the Rings films. I've not even read. I've read The Hobbit. I haven't read the Lord of the Rings.
No,
I haven't watched all of them.
You know what? Look, that's a good thing. That just means that you can watch them. So you have a beautiful experience awaiting you when you're ready.
when I have an entire day just to sit down and watch the extended editions.
They're so worth it, dude. Oh, also though, okay, if you want to have really a lot of fun, the Fellowship of the Ring High is one of the funniest experiences in the world because there are some really, really incredible moments in those movies that are so fucking funny. My partner and I did this once where there's one of our first ones getting high and we just put on Lord of the Rings and we're laughing so hard because there are some cuts in it that are really incredible. People who've watched it will know the scene with Arwen and then Frodo wakes up in Rivendell. Comedy gold. Okay. You two just need to watch and you'll see what I mean. Anyway, I'm so sad. You guys should watch it. It's so good. I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings when I was a kid, man. Holy shit. I had the tabletop figures and stuff. The Warhammer Lord of the Rings shit. Played that all the time. That was my early internet ages, actually. I was on the Lord of the Rings fucking miniature, wargaming forums. That was what I would do back in the day. I was a child on there too. So fucking annoying too. I'm sure all these adults are just oh, this fucking kid. But they don't even know I'm a kid, right? But I'm sure they figured it out. Anyway, God bless adults who,
forum adults, yeah.
You know what I mean? Honestly, just bless their souls. They were quite kind to me. Anyway, I also played Shadowrun Returns. I've been getting so many bundles. It's bad. I got a problem, guys. I'm on PC now, and I don't own a lot of the PC games. And Fanatical, man, they're getting to me.
I hate to tell you, Shadowrun's been given away like all of the times.
Oh, I know,
like, the
but I've
trilogy
never
was given
had
away
any
on
of them.
Epic. Touche. Yeah, you've been missing out, man. You have like.
But I got
an
it for
entire
so cheap, I
lifetime's
didn't even
worth of free
care.
games.
Yeah, because it was in a bundle, so I was like, whatever, man. Like it was like I kind of wanted some of the other stuff in the bundle, and it was the trilogy was in there, and I was like, well, shit, all right, let's do it. I think I own this game in other ways too. I'm pretty sure I can play it other way, but I wanted to play it on PC because this is like meant for PC, you know. And so now I feel like I've had a nice easing into the CRPG world a little bit. And I loved this game. This game is dope. Now, I've heard that this one is not like the best of them because it was kind of them just trying it out again for the first time, right? Like it's like...
It was a Kickstarter, and they, to their credit, had like a very limited scope for what they wanted to do. They were like, we want to actually complete it and complete what we say we're going to do. And they did, and it reviewed really, really well. And then they did...
Dragonfall.
Oh, what were they called?
Dragonfall
and then Hong Kong. Yeah.
Which Dragonfall apparently is the best of them. And Dragonfall, you can actually play Dragonfall in Shadowrun Returns. Because it was made technically as an expansion, but then they've created their own like director's cut version, which has a ton of UI improvements. So that's how I'm going to play Dragonfall. Yeah. But it can be confusing. So when I booted up Shadowrun, it was like Shadowrun Dragonfall, which was first on the list. And then it mentioned this other one, like Dead Man's Switch. And I was like, Dead Man's Switch? I'm glad that was the right one. So I just clicked and I was like, oh, phew, okay. But I really like this. I actually appreciate... So, Rick, this to me reminds me actually of Cosmic Star Heroine, where it's a really focused, like 8 or so hour... Maybe, actually, I might only played 7 to 8 hours or so story that has this...
It's high up on my list.
Yeah, I really loved it. I was like, this is awesome. It's like no fucking fluff, man. I was just like, it is the story, the game, that is it. And combat, exactly. Combat is not that challenging. It's not challenging at all, I'd say. Particularly if you have any tactics experience, which is fine though. Like I thought, to me, this actually felt like a game where it's like, this is a really nice entry into this world, into the lore of this world, and into this type of game. And so I had a blast. It starts off with a bang too. Like it gives you such good inciting incident. Your buddy's dead. He's left a dead man's switch. He wants you to find his killer. That's it. That's how you start. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's a great kickoff. I want to find out who killed this man. And it just leads to this story that unravels and like goes to some kind of wacky places. One critique I will give, that the tail end, some of the combat scenarios start to get a little tedious because you end up in these extended combat areas. So like basically it's a CRPG, so you're clicking to move, right? But then when you get to combat, it becomes tactical, right? So you can move your units a certain distance. Problem is that in the later game, you end up in some pretty big areas where you'll defeat some enemies, but it still considers you to be in combat. So then you kind of have to like, individually move your units across until they get to the other area. And it felt to me a little bit like, this could have been better if you just let us drop out of combat and just run over there and then start combat again, but it's a minor gripe. So anyway, Shadowrun Returns, I highly recommend it. Quick, short game. I'm looking forward to playing Dragonfall. I'm definitely going to play through all of them, but I'm going to give myself time in between them because I don't want to, get a little burnt on them. But yeah, good times. And then the last one I played was very random, but I wanted to play an FPS on my computer again because I was like, I love this. Fucking hell, though. I've ruined FPSs for myself now. I don't know if I can go back to console FPSs because, like, shit, man.
Analog controls, FPS, it's tricky.
Yeah, but the problem too is that there's some FPSs that I know are going to look so pretty on my TV, and I want to play it with the big TV. But I'm like,
that's where you go and buy yourself a Steam Link for cheap off of eBay.
Yeah, Steam Link. Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe, yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
And then bring your keyboard across and do the shrimp, as we were discussing a few weeks ago.
Shrimp, yeah. But I also just don't really want to, like... Anyway, it's a whole thing. This is such fucking first world problems. It's like, should I play my, game on my nice Xbox Series X with my 4K TV, or should I play it on my nice gaming PC? Like, fuck off, right?
Yeah. You might say that. I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I couldn't possibly comment. I'm just like, yeah, fuck. This is not a problem. But anyway, fun game. You can feel that it's a bit of a budgety-ish or game that was clearly released like 10 years ago, but the update, like the visual upgrade in the remastered edition is very beautiful. I have to say, it looked gorgeous. AI is really fucking stupid. I mean, it's a game about snipers, and like the AI will just be like, well, what do you do when there's a sniper? You run at the sniper, of course. Like, I'm like, for the love of God, I'm a sniper, guys. Like, why are you running into the open? Like, hunker down. But then I also recognize that if they hunker down, this game would suck. So, you know, it's kind of like, and I think they've improved a lot. Like, from what I understand, this game kind of skyrocketed Sniper Elite as like a whole next level thing. Because I don't hear anyone talk about the first one. I don't think the first one is memorable whatsoever. But I enjoyed it. I definitely had, like, there was a moment, all right, where I had gone through, the checkpointing's not great in this. So I had wiped out all these enemies, really stealthily too, might I add. Like, I had actually got good. This was like the last mission. And they tell me to go to these sandbags. So I go there. And all these enemies have clumped up. And I'm like, fucking grenade time. I hardly ever use grenades. This is perfect. So I take the grenade out. I aim. The reticle shows that it's going towards them. So I press the button. Press again. Let go to let him throw it. He drops the grenade in my fucking sandbox. And it blows me up right away because I couldn't get off of it. I had pressed Q to get off. And then it resets me to the beginning of that whole fucking area. And I was like, are you? And then I just went, fuck this shit. I just walked in and went, pop, 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 pop. And just like popping all of them down. I was like, I don't give a shit about stealth. I'm just going to kill everyone. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. So yeah, there's some shit like that, which is like really annoying. And like the cover system doesn't really work. You can tell it's of a like the time where like we're still sort of figuring out cover, because the problem with the cover here is that like to pop out, it either has to be cover where you can pop over the top or pop to the side. But the problem is that sometimes it seems very random where you can pop out. Like I'll move to the side of something and I think I'm on the end of it. And I'm like, okay, well, can I pop out to shoot? And it's like, nah, bro, that's not the end of it. You're like, okay, but there's physically nowhere else I can move. So why can't I pop out and shoot? And it's like, you just suck, bro. You're like, damn this game. So a little bit of that. I am glad I played this one though. It's short. I beat it in like 7.5, 8 hours, something like that. Short, quick, fun. Enemies, superhuman ability to detect you, though, I have to say. Like, I would have moments where I'm like, how do you know I was there? And like, I hadn't done anything. There is cool stuff where it gives you a sound indicator. So my favorite levels are the levels where there's shelling going on. So there'll be an explosion, and if you shoot in the explosion, people around won't hear it. So that's pretty cool, like coming through and just picking people one by one without them knowing. There's also hilarious shit. You could blow the gas tanks of tanks. So there's like a red valve, which I'm also like, in what world did the Nazis decide, hey, when we build our tanks, why don't we put a red valve on the explodable part? Which also, you can't blow up a tank by shooting it anyway. That's just not how combustion works. But I mean, I guess you could blow up gas if you held a gun next to it, shot, and like a spark ignited it maybe, but you're dying too. So other than that, it just doesn't work. But it's a video game, man. Don't ask too many questions. So it's fun. I do want to play. Sniper Elite 5 is on Game Pass, and I hear that co-op in those games is really fun. So I do want to do a co-op run of that at some point. So if anyone wants to play, let me know.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, hint, folks. But it is like a 90 gig install. I saw that and I was like, oh shit. I know, right? I was like,
yeah. What's happening?
That is absolutely.
It's like, I gotta delete some games first.
I need to find space for Age of Empires before anything else. God damn.
I know, right? But anyway, I have V2 and 4 owned, and then I'm going to try 5 at some point. So anyway, sorry everyone. That was my fucking vlog through what I've been playing. Paula, why don't you tell me about the game that you retired?
And before you do, Paula, shout out to your cat who spent the past 15 minutes licking herself clean. It's been very, very distracting. I've just got to get it off my
that
chest.
fluff ball looks like a stuffed toy. I genuinely did not notice until you said that, Rick.
It blends right in until she starts like bobbing her head to like get different parts clean. And it's been a whole thing. It's been a roller coaster for me, and I just had to share it.
You didn't see
Oh
her.
yeah,
when
Shadowrun. Yeah.
you didn't see her when she was like all over my desk, and I was trying to get like the microphone out of her reach and trying
Beautiful.
to get her not to break stuff.
Half of
And
the
it
fun
was
of
like,
recording this
yeah,
podcast
Paul for Miller, yeah.
half of the fun has just been watching your cat's adventures.
Oh,
And
our
I
cat-
think it's a crying shame that our audience doesn't get to experience that outside of me just saying, "Oh yeah, cat's been cleaning itself on camera." Cool. This is the peak audio-only podcast content.
Yeah.
It's a mystery why we're not more popular. Speaking of,
Speaking of Myst, well, I ended up retiring Myst because I really wanted to try it because it was going out of Game Pass at the end of the month.
Oh, so this is the new Myst.
And the new Myst. And I don't know, there's something about it that it's just like more sandboxy than the usual point and click or like escape room games that I'm used to. So it really didn't click with me, no pun intended. And that's... I ended up playing like 20 minutes of it. It was like, oh, I solved a puzzle, I think. And then it was like, yeah, not really for me, bye.
Yeah, to be fair, this one was built for VR, so I think that's part of why it's so sandboxy.
I think it goes beyond even that. This is what I'm going to be playing, hopefully, to talk about next time we record, because I know it's going off. I played one of the ports of the original. This was originally a slideshow game, in essence. So, yes, you're exploring this big world, but every time you took a step forward, similar to VR when you've got like node movement,
Yeah.
you would move to very predefined locations and you'd have predefined windows into the world. What's going to be interesting for me, having played it that way, is how those puzzles are then translated when you've got free 360 movement and how those things are signposted. I know you sung the praises of this game when you played it, Alex. So
I didn't have any problems.
That you had an excellent time. Paula noped out within like 25, 30 minutes. It's going to be interesting to see where I fall on this. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't know why. Usually I have problems with these types of games, but I didn't. Anyway, what else did you say, Paula?
Nothing really else to say. It's still like a shame that I really didn't like it. Mainly because it looks like so... The game is really well done. Like, it looks so beautiful. It looks polished. So I guess, like, for people that don't mind that sandbox feeling on their escape room / puzzle games / point and click games, this might be a good experience. But for me, it is a no-go. So, yeah. Alex, what have you retired there?
I finally put Final Fantasy IV to the grave. I've been wishfully keeping this on my playing tab for months. I have the strategy guide in my Game Boy Advance sitting on like my coffee table out here, and I'm just like, I'll play you, I promise. And it looks at me just like, you're a liar. So I'm like, no! It's just, Final Fantasy IV is pretty straightforward JRPG. Like, you can't even choose your party, right? Like, it slots the party in for you. It's kind of like a by the numbers sort of thing. There's not a lot to it, you know. It's great,
it's
but there's
on the grindy side as well.
Yeah, a bit. Which can be good for watching things, but I've given up. It's not happening. Maybe one day. This is the kind of retirement. It's that one where you're like, maybe someday. I have the strategy guide. It was really fun playing with the strategy guide. It's still
and the game's just weeping because it knows that it's just sweet nothings that you're putting out into the world.
Exactly. It's like,
bye.
And then Glass Masquerade I retired because it's a fucking jigsaw puzzle game. I'm not going to actually finish it. I just want to play jigsaw puzzles for a bit, you know?
This weekend we don't finish puzzle games.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my fill. I did what I wanted. I'm done. Anyway, that's it for my retirements. Not a whole lot going on there. Shall we move on to what we've been playing? One of you can take it away.
Go on, I'll jump in because you both had the monopoly on the retirements.
Quite the monopoly.
I've had a bit of an interesting play. So I've been away since we recorded last, basically. I got back to the UK today at the time of recording. So Days Gone and Remnant from the Ashes are both still being played. literally haven't been able to touch them in the time that's elapsed since. I played some more Live Alive, but I'm going to save that to the end actually, because that's probably a nice segue in with you, Alex. And I played some more of Where Shadows Slumber on my phone. It's still really cool. I don't know necessarily that there's enough to hold the concept out for the entire game. I do like how much of a story focus there is, and I think they do that very masterfully. I think it's easy to get the story component wrong with a mobile-only game, particularly just because you don't know how people are going to be experiencing that game, whether there's going to be volume on or off, what they're going to be doing at the same time. I think the game's structure and the way it approaches the blend between story and puzzle is really, really smart. I started a load of new games, some of which I'm not going to be returning to for a while, but some of which I'm probably going to carry on. Gunstar Superheroes is the first of those on the Game Boy Advance. It's great. I love it. I really, really like it. I'm not necessarily sure yet whether or not it matches up to the original, particularly the M2 port of that for 3DS. Fucking phenomenal. Excellent port job. But this game is great. Plays great on a GBA, runs super smooth. That core gameplay loop and that combat is still so much fun. And there's so many little moves tied into like different button inputs. Similar to what I suppose we were talking about with Alien versus Predator. You have the basic move, shoot, jump, but then you have like slides and back steps and kicks and like clambers and so many different moves available to you if you're willing to experiment and try different things. Yeah, I like it. The one thing that I don't like is they've carried over this weird like Mode 7-esque chick capturing minigame, bit similar to like the Sonic 3 Chaos Emerald stages. Is it Sonic 3? You know, the ones where it's like a flat 2D plane and it all rotates and you've got it similar to that kind of thing. Fucking sucks. But for the most part, the game's great. I like it a lot. We dug out, me and my girlfriend, our copies of Animal Crossing Wild World for the Nintendo DS. That was fun, except my town was full of weeds. And I spent literally an hour just combing the island and pressing B to pull weeds out. Yeah, and then I had a load of fossils in my inventory, and it turns out they were all ones I'd already donated to the museum. So that was a bit fruitless as well. But we played on a Saturday night. We got to go and see KK Slide. That was cool. Just nice to go back and revisit that moment in time gaming-wise. That was a fun little thing to do. I started 2 new games on Switch. First of which is the newly released Curse to Golf.
Nice.
Which, for anyone who's missed the marketing material around that, is a golfing roguelike. So the concept is you're a golfer who is struck by lightning right before they're about to shoot the winning shot on the 18th hole of their equivalent of like the PGA Tour Cup or whatever it is. And you are banished to the underworld where you must complete 18 holes of golf at or below par in order to win your freedom. If you use up all your shots, you have to start all the way from the beginning. And there's like a card system with some extra moves, and you can hit trophies as you traverse these like golf course map things to earn extra shots. Mechanically, it's pretty by the numbers, but the whole setup is really, really strong. The music, the few tracks that I've heard so far, fucking phenomenal. It's a really interesting setup, and on paper, it sounds so dumb. But in execution, early impressions are it really, really sticks the landing. I like what I've seen so far. I will definitely be dipping more and more into this. The other new game I started, it's new to me, it's not new, is Serial Cleaner for Switch. Love the aesthetic of this, love the sort of block colour 70s sort of buddy cop TV show aesthetic. Not the biggest stealth fan, but I like the way that it's implemented here. I'm only a few levels deep, so it could get really shit. It could get even better. I don't know. But again, initial impressions, pretty positive. Let's talk about Live Alive, or Live Alive rather, Alex.
Yeah.
I just started the Japan segment, which I'm imagining you've probably finished by now.
No, I bounced out.
The stealth's pretty wonky. I've played the China segment, completed that. I thought that was really, really strong. I played the prehistory segment. Thought that was slightly less strong, but still really, really cool.
Yeah.
I've clocked about 5 hours between the two of those, and I've just started the Edo Japan thing. Story-wise, really clever setup. I can't be arsed with Self, but like the whole conceit of this game is they're testing the boundaries of what that kind of RPG format can do. I think from that perspective, it's really, really cool. I'm such a big fan of the HD 2D touch-up they've done for this game. Massive fan of what they've done audio-visually in general. And I think that the quality of the original game, of the scenarios I've played so far, really, really shines through. So you bounce. Does that mean you finished the Japan segment, or you?
No, I bounced out of it. I was like, I'm not going to do that chapter for a while. I think I'm going to go back and restart it. Yeah, I bounced out and I started the China one, and I like the China one quite a bit so far. So, because I've beaten the Wild West, prehistory, modern, and now I'm jumping into this one, the China one. Yeah, yeah. I thought prehistory. I agree with you. It's fine. Like it's. I think it's fun and interesting. It's not like the highlight. The Wild West one has been the best one by far so far. But yeah, it's just, yeah. Let me put it this way. This game, I think, is going to take me a long time to finish because I find myself very slowly coming back to it. But it's one of those games that I'm very happy I bought at full price because I just kind of want more games like this. So I'm like, I will buy this full price, thank you. And I'm like, just keep doing this, all right? Like, I don't give a fuck if I don't fully finish it for a while. Just keep doing this.
Full price was still budget. Like it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
£35 in the UK. So your regional equivalent, what? Maybe 50 CAD.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was a lot cheaper than a full priced game usually. Plus, I got the physical of it, which was nice because I was like, I would like
30% off full price, quote unquote, for like a premium title that a Squeenix would normally release.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm liking the game quite a bit. Like I think it's something that I would love to see more of this kind of style, and even just bringing back older games that, because again, something that I think I do love about it is that they've clearly redone so much of it to the point where I just kind of feel like, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I feel like
trying to say the re-release almost.
Yeah, they earned re-releasing this, and then also it's going to, revitalize some young people who would have never played these games, like myself, frankly, not young really, but didn't get to play this game at the time. And I can imagine people even younger than me, right? Like, or even just like actual kids around this point who, well, kids probably aren't playing this game, but teens can at least get an experience of this, because I understand, like, I have a passion and you have a passion. And I think, Paula, you have a passion, and most of the listeners here have a passion for older games. And for most of us, we can play a SNES game and have a great time for the most part. Some of them not as good, but I'm not going to lie, a lot of them are harder to get into now, especially if you don't have like a real strong appreciation for older design, right? And so to bring a game like this into the present, update it a little bit. Obviously, there's some things that still might feel a little dated, but hey, at least visually and control-wise, it feels excellent. So that to me, it feels really valuable,
Shouldn't be overlooked, localized this time as well. The original release from outside of Japan. So, beyond the age thing, the fact that you're an English speaker, this is your first opportunity to play this game.
Yeah, technically.
And it's a slice of history we've in previous weeks in terms of the way that design has informed subsequent games in various different ways. The amount of people who've cited it as an influence. Obviously, the director went on to be involved in Chrono Trigger, among others. So it's a piece of like pop gaming history almost.
Yeah.
So there's that element to it too.
Great game.
Yeah, I agree. That's for me so far. Anyway, tell us about the rest of the games you're playing currently, Alex.
Yeah, not a whole lot to add here. I did play more of Prosecutor's Path. It's great.
Nice.
I didn't play a lot more.
Where are you?
But I played more. I'm still in the second case.
Oh my god.
But I'm almost at the end of the second case. This is my Witcher. I'm going to beat this by the end of the year, but it's going to take some time.
The year 2024.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the end of 2024. You know what it is? I think when I have like a commute again, I'll probably end up playing more of this game. I had a lot of Switch and like 3DS games when I had a commute, because I take the bus and I just play games all the time. But I find my Switch, handheld for me, I don't play a lot of handheld at home unless it's a game that I can like watch TV while playing. You know what I'm saying? Because something feels weird about sitting down and playing a handheld game just on its own. I don't know why, but it feels wrong. So yeah,
What's wrong with you?
But like, I got
respect the game.
No, when I was a kid, it made sense because my parents and like brothers would be using TVs and shit. But I'm an adult. It's my TV now, damn it.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't live with anybody except my fiance and my dog. Although I will admit, actually, I do sometimes play a lot of handheld games at home because my dog will bother the fuck out of me if I'm sitting on the couch. My dog will be like, no, motherfucker. You're relaxing, which means you have time to play. And she's not wrong, but it's annoying. But if I sit at like a desk and play a handheld game, my dog's like, oh, he's working. I shouldn't bother. It's weird. She genuinely won't bother me when I'm at my computer most of the time, unless it's like a designated playtime. This dog is hilarious. She's like sleeping right now. Look at Fluff. Anyway, good game. I also am playing Pixel Lines DX. Remember I was playing Pixel Colors last time. This is another in that series, but this is one of those line games. So like that threaded game I talked about, this is a similar thing. This one is mucho good. And the actual like drawings that you're creating are very cool and very well done. So compared to the Pixel Colors where the drawings, you're like, sure, that's a piece of pizza. Neon green, but sure. Like, you know what I mean? In this one, it's like, no. Everything really looks like what it is. And it's really neat because as you're building it, especially when you do the larger ones, like at one point I was making one and I was like, oh, fuck, I know what this is. Cool. And like, it makes it like easier to go through. So I really recommend it. This one's insane though. So the Pixel Colors DX, there's like 100 puzzles, I think. Yeah, I think there's 5 chapters in 100. But then he's got this fucking add-on, which is just 500 extra puzzles, which I was like, hey, excuse me, what? And I'm like, I'm not playing that one. Holy shit, I'll waste my entire life if I touch that one. But it's just like bundled with it at this point now. I mean, you can buy them separate, I think, but I got them as like bundled for like $2. 2 CAD, which means it's probably like less than £1 or something like that went on sale.
Hard to argue.
Yeah, it was hard to argue, and it's really fun. It's a great thing while watching. I've been like watching the Harley Quinn show and just doing that. It's a good show, and the new Game of Thrones actually. Fucking hell, they came back with a bang. It's good times these days.
Wait,
good
there's
TV
a
going
new
on. House of Dragon. Listen, that first. You know what? Even if the series ends up being shit, that was one of the most impressive pilots I've ever seen. It set up so many characters and a world so fast and so efficiently that I was like, holy shit, I care about everyone all of a sudden. Wow, good work. And it has one of the most horrifying scenes I've seen in a long time. A couple of them, actually. So it's Game of Thrones, all right. Anyway, that tangent over. Let's talk about another horrifying game. Resident Evil 4 VR. It's horror. But this game, I don't know why I stopped playing this. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. Like, this is the definitive way to play Resident Evil 4. Like, hands down, absolutely the best way I've ever played this game. And I've played this game like 4 or 5 times now. And it feels new. And it's so scary. And it's actually scary because I know what's coming up. So I'm like, oh fuck, it's that boss fight. But now he's gonna be like in my face. Fuck. Like having that feeling where it's like, oh Jesus Christ. And man, okay, what I think is so cool about this is that, so in Resident Evil 4, right, there's a lot, we always kind of talk about like a lot of the horror and a lot of the terror of that game is the fact that it's the tank controls and like essentially you have to stop to shoot, right? So you're planted in place and you can't move. And that's scary because you're like, oh my God, they're coming at me. Okay, I gotta back up. Now, obviously in VR, that's not a thing, right? You have free movement and free fucking movement of your guns. I mean, I can be running and popping off the whole time. So what they've done, though, is obviously they've tweaked the AI a little bit, I think. The AI kind of comes at you a little more, but it doesn't seem all that different. But what's really awesome, and what really, I think, is actually the same thing as the having to stop, is the manual reloading. So sometimes manual reloading, you're like, what's the point of that? Well, in this game, you've never fumbled so much in your life when there's a motherfucking zombie like this coming right at you with this fucking mace, and you're just like, oh, god damn it, where's my fucking clip? Oh, like get it in, and then you're just like, shit, okay, grab the shotgun. One thing that this does do that's good is that I think in Resident Evil 4, because isn't there no pause? Like when you bring up your briefcase, the game still goes, I think, doesn't it? I can't remember. I feel like it does that in Resident Evil. Yeah, I have to look it up. I feel like it does that. I can't remember. I know most Resident Evils, when you look in your briefcase, it doesn't actually pause the game. In this one, it sure does. And that's important because you do need that a fair bit, like with switching weapons and shit around. Like I was like, I need to pause for a second, pause. But anyway, I can play it for hours too. I find no discomfort with this. Like maybe it's just my experience with it now, but really well done. And like I play with a little mat under me, like a yoga mat, and barefoot, so that I know where I am and so that I don't hit anything. But wirelessly, like there's no reason. You know what I think it is actually? The reason why I don't think I feel sick while playing this is that I've often felt sick playing VR when I have to turn my body manually with a controller. When I have to do snap turning, I find it makes me feel sick because it's really weird, right? It's like it's an odd way to do it. But in this one, I just actually turn around, right? Like the only thing I'm doing is pushing myself forward with the control stick, but then the right stick is just my actual fucking body. And that feels so cool. It's so cool. And I gotta say, man, grabbing a giant rifle and like holding it up so that you can see the zoom, shooting, and then like pulling it down and like, reload. It's fucking fun. It's just really fun. And like even you both played Resident Evil 4, right?
No.
Let me tell you. So I started it on PC, couldn't get into it, retired it. I have also previously played like a reasonable chunk of the iOS port.
Oh my god.
I know, right? This episode is just the episode of like popular things that Rick hasn't properly engaged with.
You both have a Wii, right?
I do have one.
Yeah, obviously.
I've never played a Resident Evil game in my life.
Play Resident Evil fucking 4 on the Wii. It's great because the pointer controls are awesome. Just play the goddamn game. It's so good.
One on the Nintendo DS, the Deadly Silence port of it.
Oh my god!
All the weirdness.
Play the good one. Because I'd actually argue you should play Resident Evil 4 before the remake comes out. You guys, these games are so good. Anyway, there's a section in it where you're in a cabin, okay, with Luis, and the cabin is getting overrun by Ganados, like the zombie-esque characters, right? So you can push all of these. You have 2 floors. You can push all of these bookshelves against the windows on the bottom floor, and then you can go up to the top, so they're kind of in. Now, when you're playing Resident Evil 4 regularly, the windows on the top floor are basically just for ladders coming in, right? Like they'll put ladders up and they'll try to climb up and you can knock them down. You can kind of look out the window, but you can't really look out the window, right? The beautiful fucking thing in VR is that I got to go up there and I could literally go to the window, pull off a grenade from my chest, unpin the grenade, lean out the window, and just drop grenades onto all the fucking zombies on the bottom, and it was the best fucking thing ever. I'm just like, poof, drop, dropping all these fucking grenades, going like, ah! Like, it just felt so good. Like, being able to actually move through it like that. But then it's also terrifying, because once they start coming up the stairs, you're just like, you're in that goddamn room with all of these swarming zombies. And it was one of the most tense. My fucking heart rate went up. My little Fitbit was like, bro, you okay? Like, I'm like, fucking like tracking my heart rate. Well, I thought it'd be fun. I was like, I'm going to track my heart rate during these. And like, I spiked in that one. It is so tense and so much fun. Like, holy shit. I was just, man, if you have a Quest 2 and you have not played this game in VR, fucking buy this game right now. It is so, so, so good. And it's faster to play in VR, which I thought is kind of neat. I've been noticing my times are like an hour or 2 ahead of where I would usually be in the game because of the fact that you're able to move while shooting and stuff. And it just kind of eliminates some of the clunkier bits of Resident Evil 4. And even when I looked on how long to beat, the times are almost 4 hours faster for RE4 than for like in VR than for like on consoles, which I think is kind of neat. So anyway, you gotta play this, man. Oh god, Paula, I think you could do this too because it's not first person. It's freaky for sure, but I don't think you'd get too much motion sickness or anything because again, it's third person, which I think would help you a lot actually. And you stop to shoot, so it's not like running and gunning. You're like actually have to stop, plant, shoot.
Thing is, I'm just not good with zombie games and horror games in general.
Oh,
Like,
God, I want to
the
make
only
you play
reason
this
that-
and record it.
The only the only reason that I experienced like Silent Hill the original is because my boyfriend was at the controller and I just solved the puzzles.
Well, hey,
That
there's
was my
puzzles in
thing.
this. Why don't you two play it together? October's coming up. I was just thinking.
Someone really wants me to play that
game. Yeah, I want you both to play it. Look, this is a classic of video gaming. Like, honestly, you know me. I don't replay games. I've played this game. This is my 5th playthrough of this game.
Holy.
Yes, it's that fucking good. It is a really good game. Like, honestly, I only replay Resident Evil games. Really, like, I can't think of many other games I've replayed. But Resident Evil games are so good to replay, and they're so much fun. Again, I am a sucker for horror, so it's kind of up my alley. But I bought the fucking Humble Bundle of Resident Evil. I own all those games. I don't give a shit. I want all those games on PC as well. It's like, I want them, and I want to throw all my money at Capcom and Resident Evil as much as I can. I'm just like, give me more Resident Evil. That's all I can say.
I think I'm more likely to play Resi 2 Remake first. 1, because I've got it on Family Share and Steam. And 2, because it looks way prettier. And 3, because I've already tried Resi 4 once and it didn't. I don't know if that was controller setup. It wasn't working for me. I would be inclined to probably wait until VR comes and then give it a go there. By which I mean when I get a VR headset, which is, it's not in my immediate plans, but it's in my plans.
Dude, when you get, oh yeah.
I was thinking of dropping a bullet and then Metal like, yeah, sick, let's bump the price up by 30%.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
It's like, okay, I'll wait for number 3. Like, that's obviously coming.
Yeah, I do that. When you get it, do that. That's the way to go. Mm-hmm. I've been building up my Steam VR because I know that one day I'll upgrade my headset way in the future. But man, that Quest 2 is good shit. It's good shit. Fuck meta, but Quest 2 is great. Anyway, Paula, why don't you tell us about... I see you added a game, but why don't you tell us about what you've been playing?
Well, let me sing to some of my people. Well, before I talk about Age of Empires 4, I'm gonna briefly mention Piofiore Painted Memories. That's still happening. I'm playing Nicholas Route. I remember that it is a replay because of the sequel is coming soon. And again, I forgot who was alive in which route.
Is Piofiore the Mafia one?
Yeah, the Mafia one. The Italian Mafia one.
The Mafia
nice.
Cafe.
You get points, freak.
What you saying?
Oh, I just said the Mafia Cafe one, right?
No. I heard what you said. I missed what Paula said. Sorry.
Oh, you get points for that, Rick. I don't know
I
what
will take those points.
price
And
is.
I'll bank those points. Absolutely.
So yeah, nothing else to say about the game besides it's still as good as I remember, and it's still a lot of. I want to say a lot of fun, but then remember the very gruesome parts. But still, it is a lot of fun to go through this game again. So now to the one big game that I've been playing a lot of, that is Age of Empires 4. And oh my god, there has been an announcement about an update for the game, which adds not 1, but 2 new civilizations for free. If you have the game, you get this. Which is amazing, because we don't want the community to be divided like only a year after the game comes out. It has been a year. It hasn't even been a year since the game came out. It feels like forever for me. Mm-hmm. Anyways, before I jump into my adventures, I want to discuss a little bit about the 2 new civilizations, which, by the way, they are like very different between them. We have the Ottomans, which is a military focused civilization, which, by the way, these fuckers have a special building that it produces military units for free. It takes a lot more than the usual buildings from other civilizations, but they can just get military units for free. You just leave them generating them, and that's all. And
for the listeners at home, that pause between a special unit and the description of the special unit, that I can only describe a shudder went through Paula's face.
Yeah, like. Oh, and I'm looking at the webpage right now, and they have, at the very least, 3 special units listed that are the Great Bombard, and holy crap, that is a huge siege unit. And it does splash damage.
God damn.
What?
I'm sorry.
He said that's
There's your episode title right there.
That's a huge siege unit.
Oh dear.
Oh my god.
You dirty, dirty boy.
The worst thing is that I was trying like not to think about the innuendo because because I was watching like a video by BCQ where he was like going through the units, and he said the regular bomber, this is you. The great bomber, this is the guy she told you not to worry about.
Yeah.
I saw that. That was good.
Oh dear.
Yep. Oh my god. Well, of course, since it probably costs a lot more gold and wood because siege units, I think they cost resources. I think, hopefully. So if you destroy one of those, it is a huge economic loss for the Ottomans. You have the, I'm gonna butcher this, the meter. And it's a unique horseback war drummer unit that provides an armor buff to units around it. You can choose attack speed, melee armor, or range armor. A unit can only have like one buff at a time, I think. But still, I fear for my life with this. And they have the Sipahi. And there are like light rider horseman units. So I guess they replace the usual horseman for the Ottomans. And I'm not gonna go into too much depth here because there's a lot of information in the webpage. Rick, you could probably put that link in the description. And while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe.
I'm going to get if you're not careful.
The Ottomans were pretty freaking, I mean, just historically, were quite the goddamn empire. So fitting that they're terrifying in this one.
Yep. And the other civilization that we have is from
Mali.
Yeah, is the Malians? Malians.
Yeah. African civilization.
West African. Yep. And this one is very interesting because it's more economic focused. But also they have hit and run tactics. While the Ottomans want to build a huge army and just destroy you with it, the Malians will just do cheap damage slowly but surely. They'll win the battle somehow. And they have very interesting units here that are the Musafari warrior, that is their they're women at arms, I guess. And they have less health and armor, but they do a lot more damage and have high speed, which is fitting for their hit and run tactics. They have also the javelin thrower, which is an anti-range unit. Yeah. An anti-crossbowman. No, it replaces the crossbowman, I'm sorry. But they do more damage to other archers, which I wonder if it applies also to the horseback archers that which civilization has it? Oh my god.
Is that the Mongols?
But hopefully it applies. Is it the Mongols?
Mongols?
I think it's the Mongols.
I think it's the Mongols because I remember fighting against this fucking horseback archers.
Yeah, they're kind of annoying, and I wonder if these javelin throwers would be a good counter for them. Finally, we have the Donzo. He's an anti-cavalry hunter warrior of the Malians, and they have a spear and shield, and they can use that spear as a javelin or just as a regular spear, and they have shields. And this one is gonna be interesting. I don't know if they're like an extra unit they have or if it replaces something. It doesn't say in the homepage. And the other thing that I found very interesting is, first of all, they have the open pit mines. That is like the oval that the Mongolians have, that the Mongols have, and it if you put it like over a gold mine, it generates like a gold per minute, pretty much, or gold per sec. And
That's cool.
also the other thing that is very interesting is they have cattle. They have a building that generates cattle. So instead of hunting deer or like getting the usual sheep, they have cattle. And yeah, this is like a very like surface level look at these two civilizations, but they look very interesting. Oh, the other thing about the Malians is that their units have like can be stealthy even like outside the stealthy terrain in the map.
Oh, they
So
can.
I don't know how that works.
Oh.
Yeah, they can, and this is gonna be very interesting because I don't know how that works. If you don't see them like outside certain range when they're being stealthy or what. But yeah, these are built for hit and run tactics to run through.
Nice.
Well, and finally, what the hell have I been up to in this game? I've been ranking, like my life depended on it, and I'm Silver 3 right now. I don't know how I got to Silver 3. I'm also almost a Gold 1, but I am getting there, and
Does the
hopefully I can
ranking-
get further.
Sorry. How does the ranking system work in Age of Empires? What ranks are there?
Yeah, let me look for it real quick because I know that it is bronze, silver, gold, diamond or platinum. I don't remember. And the very top one is Conqueror. So it's like 6 or so ranks.
I want to
like-
get an understanding of how impressed I need to be, in essence.
Not very, because I'm not even halfway through there.
Look,
Oh, but progress is progress,
I'm getting
right?
there.
yeah, like that means you won a bunch of games against, good players.
Last one in particular was kind of interesting, but let's not go into that tangent. But I do have notes on what kind of civilizations I've been up against, but the one that really stuck out for me was the Are you really sure it's the Mongols who have the archer horses? If it is,
I don't know, man. It could be
I'm
the
gonna
Rus,
say them.
But
Yeah, I don't remember the one that has the archer horses. They were hell. Just let me tell you. And I was like, and as you said, Alex, like one little mistake can cost you the game. I didn't know like what counters the horse archers, and I was like, okay, time to Google. I'll try not to die here. And it was like,
it's the
I don't
Rus.
know, archers.
Sorry, it's the Rus, not the Mongols. It's
It's
the
the
Rus.
Rus. Thank you. Yeah, I was against the Rus then, and I had no idea what to do because they had a lot of those, and I couldn't send out my spearmen because, well, they die before they can reach the horses.
Yeah, and the horses can shoot
and-
while they're running, which is fucked.
Yeah, it is the fucking worst. Then at the end, I started sending archers, which looked like it worked for a little bit. But since my response was so late, I really couldn't do anything about it. So I had to forfeit, or I had to surrender because they were already at my city and destroying everything. So bye. The other interesting matchup that I had was against I think was against the English earlier today. And finally, I'm getting like that those early hit and run tactics right. Like kill a couple of villagers, run away, kill a couple of villagers, run away.
Nice.
Or like just pester the shit out of them. and I don't know, it just went pretty smoothly somehow. So I guess I am getting better at multitasking in this game, which is nice. And finally, there was this one I lost, but it was an hour
Wow.
matchup. And at the end, I just had to surrender because I ran out of resources. And the thing is that they played, methinks they played the English. Yeah. And I thought I was doing a good job at pestering them, but then they started walling up everywhere. They started like walling up their starting point, and I couldn't like continue pestering them. So at the point when I finally got the siege to destroy the wall, they had a lot of units, and I couldn't like really destroy everything like I wanted. And then they started walling me like on my half of the map, and I was like, oh no. And at the end of the game, there was like a lot of back and forth at the wall. And at the end, they just overpowered me. Though I gave like a half an hour fight because like that continuous fighting went over like for 20-30 minutes, and it was just tiring. So at the end of the day, I was like, yep, nope, enough Age of Empires for today, peace out. So yeah, it has been one adventure after the other. There are also like a lot of new players, so I fought against like a newer player that it was literally their first rank match. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna go easier. I want to give them a chance. I ended up like
no mercy,
just steamrolling them, but yeah. And there was like another weird match where, for some reason, it was a Chinese player, and they started like making their military units like when I started attacking them full force. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe they were AFK for a while. I don't know. It's the only explanation that I can give.
I also think though early players, like when you start, because I did this when I was first starting when I'm playing AI and stuff, you often forget that you have to be building your military as you're playing along, right? You get lulled into that sense of, especially if they're not harassing you, you get lulled into this sense of like, well, there's no one around. I just need to build up my economy, and then I'll be ready to make a big army. You know, I feel like it's a common like beginner pitfall.
That could have been it, but the player was gold 1 or something like that, so it was very weird.
Wow, that is weird.
I vote that they were AFK or like, I don't know, trying something out and it didn't work out.
Oh well, victory for you.
Well, another victory for me. So yeah, those are my Age of Empires adventures. I have way more, but I don't want to take forever in this conversation. And why don't we jump to the topic? Why don't we jump to the topic of this week? That it is...
Sounds good.
Gaming on vacation.
Yeah, and this is sort of prompted by the fact that, as I say, I've been away for a week. And we thought it'd be a cool thing to talk about because it is like a whole different setup. And I think at the most basic level, obviously, handheld tends to be king.
Mm-hmm.
Probably changes with Game Pass and streaming options and things that you have available there. I think for me, the biggest thing is just like what time you really have available, because a lot of it depends on your vacation, right? So like,
yes.
As a point of contrast, I know when I was younger and we used to go to see family abroad, you'd have like siestas. And as a kid with all of the energy, I didn't want to sleep in the day. I wanted to do shit. So I have great memories of like playing Minish Cap and really sinking my teeth into that game. Ditto like FIFA 2011 on the PSP one time, I think. Those are the games like you really want to get involved. Custom Robo Arena is another one I played like that, where you've got a game that requires some attention, requires some investment. If you have the time to do that, those kind of experiences are great for, holiday. I think holidays at home, which is something that you've popped down in there, either Alex or Paula, is probably one more for that. But I know this most recent time I've gone away, I actually didn't have a lot of time just sat with my consoles. We were like by the pool, or we were going and doing something, or we were going to a restaurant. So it not only is it smaller chunks of time, it's also do I really have the mind share or like the energy or the will to sink my teeth into something beefy. One of the reasons I tried a couple of new games, one of the reasons I got into Gunstar Superheroes, little things that you can jump in for 10 minutes and just like have an easy time with. And I think that probably is the more interesting change for me. I mean, what do you two think about this sort of thing?
One of the things that I liked about the games that I choose to play on vacation is like either something that gives me something that is like a quick match. So when I was at school, it was Warcraft 3, or when I was early at uni, it was Age of Empires 2, and now it is Age of Empires 4, which, by the way, I spent a lot of time during my winter vacation on that game. Not that you didn't notice. And
no.
or something like that is like a game that I know I'm gonna be playing for a while. And I also like to have like a more relaxing game to like start waking up in the morning, because I like waking up, eating breakfast, and then it's like, oh, I have free time today. What if I play, I don't know, an hour of Slime Rancher, or an hour of, at some point it was Stardew Valley, just as I'm waking up and thinking what I'm gonna do today. Especially because lately, like with the pandemic, and also since I got into uni, I don't go out for vacation much. Like I just stay at home and just play some video games. So yeah, that's the kind of things that I like doing. How about Alex?
Yeah, I find like, because like there's the two different types of vacation. Like even recently, when I went back out east, it's kind of a family vacation, but still a fun vacation, going to beaches and stuff. Like I agree with you. For me, I think of like playing games as well, right? Like I absolutely love to just like, especially if they've got a lot of my flights are very long, 4.5 hours, right? And so they'll have usually have the movie screens on there as well. So I can get, watch a good movie while playing a game. It's just like perfect. But I'm really like, I love to play short, fun experiences when I'm going on vacation. And I find that I need, like it is so wonderful to get to go somewhere. But I also find that I need a little bit of downtime from the amount of activities that we end up doing. Because I know I'm getting it's so funny. But like it is a thing where at times, if you're going nonstop, sometimes I just need a second just to kind of breathe. And my fiance luckily is exactly like that too. Like we want to do as much as we possibly can on vacation, but then we also know that we just need a minute sometimes to just like sit, play a game for a little bit, and chill, like read a book. You know what I mean? Like we're like, okay, let's just chill for a second, and then we're revved up and ready to go again. And it depends too, because like when I go home, say for like Christmas or something, that's a whole different experience, right? Like I'm bringing my Switch with me, and I am just gonna game like crazy, right? Like it's just like boom, boom, boom. I'm knocking out and I like to knock out small games that I've been meaning to play when I do that kind of thing. Like I remember last Christmas, I knocked out so many indie games because I was just like, you know what? I want to get through these indie games. I want to just like bash through them, I don't know. It's just like, for me, that's like the perfect time to do that. But I also think like vacation to me does scream handheld in so many ways. Obviously, if you're traveling somewhere, it's handheld. But it is also like pick up and play handheld games. That's really the ones that I feel like stick out for me. The games that are just really good at like grab it for a couple seconds and pop it down. Like for instance, I played like Pokemon Puzzle League and shit, right? Like that's what I was playing on the way there. It's like for me, a game or like a Game Boy Advance game, something that is easily just like pop on, pop off as you're going, to me is just like, it's perfect. But I'm also the gamer who brings like, I got my Switch, my 3DS, and my Game Boy Advance in my book bag. Like I got all these fucking consoles with me.
I have to say the whole like flight security thing, if you've got anything with a battery in it now, they make you take it out. So I basically emptied the entirety of my hand luggage into a separate tray because they had to scan it all properly, which is a whole fucking thing.
They usually ignore, as long as I just take my Switch out, they're usually fine. I find my older consoles, they're just like, what? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
One guy did see a Game Boy. I was like, damn, you got a Game Boy? I'm like, yeah.
I was just like, if I'm going to empty it, I'm going to empty it. I don't want to do the whole song and dance. I've emptied it a bit and then I empty it more. So it's just like, I'm going to tip them all out. And then on the return leg, the two agents were just having a chat and they didn't even look as they were pressing the button to go through. It's like, well, that was wasted effort, wasn't it? That was great. Live Alive was good for that. I don't know why we didn't touch on it before. I basically played the whole of the prehistory campaign on my flight back from where I've been. And the beauty of that game is that those little self-contained segments, you can just section, same as you would for like a short indie game or a short hike or, you know, whatever you want to do. You can section a couple of hours out and be like, I'm going to play one of these stories.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that the game lends itself to it that way. And that is very much a holiday thing. Similar to like a holiday book read, right? Like you want something self-contained, small, you want to take it, just enjoy it. And that's part of the experience kind of thing.
And it also depends because sometimes I'll have like holidays at home, right? Where like I'm just staying and I know that I have like 2 weeks where I don't have to do anything except, you know, my regular everyday lively duties of keeping my dog alive. Duty. And in those cases, I'll look at something like, you know, like a big RPG and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. You know, like
staycations are almost the opposite way around, aren't they? Where it's like, I've got this time, I can really get involved. I need a staycation to get back to P5R. Like Persona games are such staycation games, big beefy RPGs. Sports
Elden
games,
Ring for me is one,
I used to love nothing more than having a week and knowing that I could just get through a couple of seasons on FIFA Manager mode. I think sports games really lend themselves to it that way. I know it's not necessarily our demo, but like that's very much where I'm at.
No, I get you. I mean, I remember my brother would do. I did this with NBA sometimes, but like my brother, he's that kind of gamer where like he at Christmas time he'd pull out the GameCube and he'd hit up some like manager modes in NHL and just play through a bunch of, you know.
He was one of the 3 people that used the handle, right?
Hell yeah, he was. Grab that by the fucking handle and bring her in. Ask me how to set it up, and then he'd be good to go. Like, oh, set this thing up for me. And I'm like, I gotcha. Yeah, man. Oh God. And of course, we're all pre-children folk. And so I imagine once I have children, which is likely coming in the next, like, fuck man, maybe 2 years, probably this time 2 years, I think we'll have kids. That's the plan, at least right now. Yeah, they're coming soon. It's happening. I've got a strong feeling my vacation, if I even get to travel with kids, I actually don't think we're gonna go many places once we have kids. But I imagine that's a very different experience on the plane playing a game, as if I'm probably on a plane being like, don't cry. But then I don't know. You know, who knows? Maybe it is fine. Maybe you find more time. I don't fucking know, man.
You do hear stories of people like letting the babies fall asleep on their lap while they're playing a game.
Yeah.
Like I remember the no clip guy, Danny O'Dwyer. He's got unless I'm mixing it with someone else, but him or someone else had a story of like playing Bloodborne with their newborn on their lap, and like that was a whole thing where the experience was so different for them because they couldn't get angry because they'd wake them.
Yeah.
But you're playing this raging game, and it's a very different experience, but a very bonding one in a way as well, because it's almost like that precious time for you to play the game in an otherwise very busy life is combined with like that precious close time with a newborn.
And honestly, even as long as they're just with you, right? Like that's like, you know, with my dog. My dog sometimes is just happy that I'm like chilling with her while I'm doing something. But it is funny, yeah. It's like a different experience with gaming. And you have to pick different kind of games too, right? Like I feel like I would imagine to have kids, it's like you got to pick a game where it's just like if you need to look away for a few minutes, it's okay. For a second, right? Like you just I don't know. I have such fond memories of playing games on vacation, you know? Like it's just because again, to me, I think they almost stick in my brain a little bit more because I get this concentrated dose of the game. Whereas, you know, many other games, like the way I play games, obviously it's spread out over long periods of time. I do not have hours and hours in a day to play games. It might seem like I play a shit ton, but that's mostly because I have very, very concentrated, carved out times of my day of which I get to play games. You know what I mean? Like, I've scheduled my days very well. But I can't just sit and binge a game. Yeah.
What are all our fondest gaming memories then? That's a nice one to hit on.
For a holiday?
Singular. Yeah. What's the single one? I think for me, I alluded to it a moment ago, probably Custom Robo Arena, because it was a game I'd picked up. This is an interesting full circle thing. They were both on discount in the game shop. It was either Custom Robo Arena or Myst, the DS port, which is fucking
you
awful.
dodged a bullet there.
No, I went Myst first. First. Hated it. And then just before we went on holiday, my parents were like, "Well, right, we'll go and you can pick a game or two to play while we're out there." Because in this instance, we were gone for like a month.
Oh, wow.
And I went for the right one this time. I picked up Custom Robo Arena, and I lost my life to that game. Like, I played it start to finish and played some of the post-game content. And I just remember being curled up on the sofa at the place we were at, just playing through it and cleaning my robot, polishing the parts and doing the battles and like having all the conversations. And it was just wonderful. So that's me. What about you two?
To think, but I think I have to go for a more recent one. And that's gonna be The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, mainly because since my nephew got into gaming, he adores that game in particular. And we have spent like so many hours just playing by side by side, or like just talking about the game. And at some point when he started like discovering all the secrets, he will call me like, "Hey, Paula, can I tell you about this secret that I found?" And then he will explain me exactly how to get to the thing, and I will have to follow how he was. Like, I will have to follow his instructions to get to the thing if I haven't got it already in the new save file. So, and that is, I don't know, a more wholesome experience than I was expecting out of my vacation with my nephew. Also, in a less wholesome note, I also love when we do those bingo competitions with my boyfriend and now with my nephew too, because he has gotten quite good at the game. And it's just like pure fun, especially when you're like trying to, I don't know, whenever I get like a lot of competitive people in the same room as me, and we have like this, hey, let's try to do this first, like let's try who can like complete this challenge like the fastest. It's just like everyone gets like so pumped up, and it's like a very good time because everyone's so into it. So yeah, I think that's like the most precious game to me in terms of vacation memories.
Nice. I have something kind of similar. So, because like when I think back on it, like I have a couple that I can kind of remember, but there's one that actually really sticks out for me, and it's with my So every year my family would go to Cape Breton because my father's from there, and all our family would go, like all the extended family, and I have 21 cousins, I think, something like that. On my dad's side, I have a lot of cousins.
Same.
Yeah. Just an absolute boatload. Yeah, you're similar, Paula?
Yeah, I have. No, we are 25 cousins in total between my dad's side and my mom's side.
I think maybe in total I might be similar as well. Might be around that. Yeah, it's just a lot. And so it's huge, right? And a lot of them were around my age. Actually, there was a bunch of us who were similar aged. All the parents were having kids at the same time, basically. And so one of my cousins had like a Game Boy Advance, the nice purple Game Boy Advance, and he had Super Mario Advance, like the one that was 2, the second one, Super Mario Advance 2.
Mario Land 2, Super Mario Advance, yeah.
Yeah, Super Mario Advance. And oh my god, man, I have fond memories of us. We'd pass that around, like play as Peach and like doing all these things, going through and playing. And we'd like, it was me, him, and one of my other cousins' age. We would like pass that around. We'd like keep playing together and like trying to beat different levels and stuff. And like, it was such a good time. Like, I just remember playing so much of that together. And like, again, I didn't know that was a game from before the Game Boy. I just thought that was a Game Boy Advance Mario game, right? Because I was a kid, I didn't know. And I had such a good time with it. Like, I would say most of my like childhood holiday vacation memories are probably around the Game Boy Advance. Thinking about playing Lost Age and stuff. But there's one more, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but when I got the GameCube, I got Vex. I had a great time playing that. That game is so weird.
Weirdly good game.
Yeah, but I distinctly remember playing that game. And Red Steel when I got the Wii. But I remember that. Like, Christmas is always a time. But in terms of going away vacations. Oh, actually. Sorry, one other one. I got a bunch, actually. So when I was in Italy, I was chaperoning a tour that my parents had done. I had put a bunch of homebrew stuff onto my iPad, that first generation one. And I had it set up so that a Wii remote could connect to it, and I could use the classic controller. And I played Chrono Trigger while on the bus drives throughout Italy. Yeah, and it was dope. So I would just like, I'd be like playing Chrono Trigger, and then I'd just look out and I'd go, beautiful hills, and keep playing. And it was like, it was serene, dude. It was serene. And just kind of incredible. So that was a random thing. I was probably looked odd. I had a fucking Wii remote stuffed in my pocket, but you couldn't even see it. It's just in the pocket. Play the classic controller, fucking playing some Chrono Trigger, man. Great times.
And you could have just bought the DS port.
Yeah, but at the time, actually, oh no, I think at the time when I went, the DS port was already, like, the DS was kind of done at that point. When I was playing it, like when I was traveling in Italy, it was like the DS was kind of gone, and I think finding even the Chrono Trigger was tough. But it was free. I didn't need to. It was on a big iPad screen. It was very pretty. And it had save states. I mean, come on. Okay, so without further ado, Paula, you got more? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to add like one more. That is,
again, too bad.
No, don't be an asshole.
But that's my favorite. Now go ahead.
Okay.
Don't be a siege unit.
Damn it. Don't make me laugh.
Go on, Paula.
Okay, so again, I don't know if I ever stated this, but my nephew used to spend a lot of time at my parents' house when he was like very, very, very small. So he started like wanted to try out the games that I was playing, and one of the games that he started playing, like the first game he ever started playing, was Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U. And it's the first game he also got good at playing and was able to play with a group and actually have a lot of fun with it. So that is like another precious memory for me, like while playing like during vacation or holidays. Whenever my nephew came home to visit my parents, his grandparents, we will just like, he will go like, hey, can we play a round of Mario Kart? Yeah, of course, a round. Just a round, of course. We ended up playing like for at least a couple of hours, and he will always like go like, one more round. And I don't know, it's like, since I know him since the day he was born, literally, I've been like watching him go through his gaming journey since the very early. So it's kind of precious to me because like I've been like molding him in a way, like, hey, try out this game, or maybe you will want to try this other game. And when he watches me playing, obviously he wants to try it out too. So I don't know, it's kind of fun in that way. I mean,
I've got one more. It's we for Christmas we always used to travel. I think I've told this story before, so I'll be quick. But all my cousins live in a different part of the UK. That's where we go for Christmas. we all had DSs, like a few years between all of us. Mario Kart DS was the one for like 4 or 5 years. And we'd all like DS wireless hook them up and we'd all play together and I would always win. And we'd all have an okay time.
That's me and my brothers. We play Mario Kart together, except that's the only game that my younger brother can beat me at because he played so fucking much in college.
He's specialized. He's specced out.
Yeah. So I'm actually really happy to play it with them because it's honestly pretty fun to be able to play a game where like I actually have to really work to try and win. You know, it's exciting. It's like, cause I don't actually like playing a game where I just, it doesn't feel fun if you're just dominating. Cause you're like, well,
yeah, it still doesn't it?
Right. And it's not even cause I'm like that much better. I play more. Like that's,
Yeah.
But you know what never gets dull? One, me knocking my microphone over, but number two, how long to beat the game.
It's my turn.
Format, baby.
So
yeah, it's not
at the
new
moment,
anymore. We've been doing it for like 3 months.
Yeah, we're in the third round now. So this time around, yeah. Which, by the way, you got to play Age of Empires 4 soon, buddy.
I do.
Yeah.
Them's the rules.
Play the turn game
with no enforcement, but them's the rules.
I have like 5 days left to play Myst.
That's true. That's true.
Gonna happen. I have to finish Remnant from the Ashes. I've got maybe 10, 12 hours left to do that. That's going to happen. Then I will have the necessary hard drive space to install Age of Empires.
All right, you heard
that
it
shall then happen.
First, folks. We know the roadmap now.
We know the roadmap. We do. But roadmaps, you know, they're never allowed to change ever in gaming. Roadmaps are finite and
they must stay as they've been announced. That is how the world works. You gotta follow them. All right. So anyway,
what game is it this week, Alex?
The standings right now, I'm at 8 points. Rick's at 6 points. Paula's at 1 point. We're in like the second round now, I think, because I think I started it. Maybe I don't remember.
I want to say yes.
Yeah. Whatever. Let's find out.
Because there's no way you have 8 points otherwise.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Rick's played twice.
You had 2 really good rounds, and I had 1 really good round, which is why Paula is very, very low. We're on the second cycle of this round.
There we go. We get it. Yeah. All right. So the game is World's End Club. 12-year-old kids go on a 1,200-kilometer journey. A new type of action-adventure game that fuses a thrilling story with 2D side-scrolling action.
I'm aware of this one. This is from the Nonary Games person, I want to say.
I think so.
It's from someone, or is it Danganronpa? It's like
Danganronpa.
Someone who's involved in one of those things.
I think it's both.
Oh, okay. Is it like a wombo combo sort of like?
Kyo Games, which is pretty cute. TOO.
Kyo Games.
Kyo Games.
I think like some creators of Nonary Games and some from Danganronpa merged.
I think that's what it is. I think they did that and made a lesser quality product.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
Look, this is notoriously average from what I've seen.
Which is kind of sad.
It is quite sad, but that is how the cookie crumbles. I would like you, for your bonus category, this has 3 genres. I would like you to guess what the genres are. Closest wins. What are the 3 genres?
Shit. Okay. I might have fucked that one up, though, because I'm researching this game because I know nothing about it.
Yeah, but 3 genres and how long to beat.
Okay.
I see. Okay, I was going to say, because the description on Steam's pretty... Okay.
But that might not be what they call it on this one, so...
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, again, closest will win for this one. You don't have to get it exactly right, because that would be quite difficult. But whoever can get most correct will win. And I'll
Okie dokie. I almost sent my answers on the wrong chat.
Oh, yeah, careful.
That would have been bad.
I mean, might have been good for Rick, but bad for you.
Yep.
Wouldn't that invalidate the round or something like that?
Not if I get all the points, it would.
Whoops.
Oh, yeah, I would just pick a new one. Okay, I've got Rick's in.
I am doing my best here. I forgot how
to type.
to not send the thing.
Oh yeah, you got to press shift and enter.
Yup.
Yeah, so the reason I kind of clowned on this game is just that it did, I remember, get like a pretty lukewarm reception, I think, which was too bad because I think there was a fair bit of hype for it.
So it's mixed on Steam,
Yep.
a very nice 69% positive user reviews.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which, that's not great considering those games are like, at least, you know, the Nonary games and the Danganronpa games are like renowned as being top tier.
Yeah, it looks like it was very sort of child geared, which is not what you'd expect.
Yeah.
I mean, in aesthetic, apart from anything else, it seems very kidsy.
It's got a 64 on OpenCritic with a 17% critics recommended. So,
Oof.
How do you write these?
it's also interesting because I think, from what I understand, it seems a little bit like this is a game. Like, isn't the idea with this game that they've been brought for like a Danganronpa style deathmatch, but then it just doesn't happen and they have to go home? Like, I think,
If I remember rightly, it's like a death game, but they come out and like the world's ended around the death game. So obviously the game becomes defunct and they just have to like survive. It's almost like Lord of the Flies meets generic death game concept, I think. It does look interesting. It's the kind of thing like if it gets a deep Switch sale, I might like consider trying out. I mean, it's not super expensive, full price. I wonder how much it is at Switch at the moment.
Steam's
look
probably
while
the
Paula's
cheapest way of
finishing
doing
around.
it. Paula's done, so we're gonna hop on here.
Cool.
So, okie dokie, here we go, folks. First off, for Maine, Paula has said 10 hours, and Rick has also said 10 hours.
Ooh.
Which, even if you hadn't guessed the exact same one, it is actually a 10-hour game. So you both get points.
Ooh.
Well done.
Nice.
You guessed it correct. Next up, we have Main Plus. So in this one, Rick has said 15 hours, and Paula has said 14 hours. And the time is 13 and a half hours. So that one's going to go to Paula.
For me.
Paula's creeping back up here. Okay, 100%. Paula has said 15 and a half hours, and Rick has said 20 hours. And I've got a strong feeling that the winner here is 15 hours, Paula. So it's 15 hours. Yeah. So Paula has done a pretty good showing here so far. So now it's 8-4-7. So let's get to our bonus round. So for the bonus round, 3 genres. Rick has said action, adventure, and 2D side scrolling. And Paula has said puzzle, visual novel, and side scroller. Interesting. So, the actual genres are adventure, puzzle, and visual novel. So I'm going to have to give this one to Paula. Got 2 out of the 3. Rick got 1 out of the 3. So, that means that we have here... oh my god, wow, yeah, see, Paula brought it up. So the rankings now are 8 for Alex, 7 for Rick, 6 for Paula. It is still anyone's game. Could change at any moment, who knows? That was a good round. Well done, you two. That was good. I like the genre one. That's kind of neat, because it is kind of tough to know, like, what are the genres?
Especially for a game like this.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, right? Side-scroller, I see why you put that. I imagine Steam probably lists it as a side-scroller. I would imagine.
I was kind of cheeky. It says a new type of action-adventure game that fuses a thrilling story with 2D side-scrolling action.
Yeah.
So I just sort of pulled those words out.
Those
I
seem
appreciate
like-
they wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah, the genres make sense to me. Adventure, puzzle, visual novel. That does seem to describe what it is. All right. Oh, yeah?
I just went for something that made sense given the developers of the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Side-scroller was because I saw the game like in a trailer and was like, oh, that looks like a side-scroller.
Looks like one, talks like one, it is one. All right, so thank you for tuning in, folks. That's it for now. I don't know why I put a twang on there, but we'll tune in next week for more fun from all of us. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye.